Hello and welcome back to Survival Saturday with Johnny Tiger. Date is November 9, 2024. Today we are going to review a special knife. It is special not just because it's an expensive knife, but it's special because it's part of my anniversary from Kitten, part of my anniversary gift from Kitten for this year. Kitten has always been very generous with anniversary gifts, and this year we are looking at the Cutco Kabar Outdoorsman knife. Now, if you know your knife, then you know as soon as you hear Cutco, it's not going to be cheap. Okay, the Cutco Kabar Outdoorsman knife is like a $200 plus, it's over $200 knife, and on the on the spec, it doesn't look that worth it. Yeah, like I mean, when you think about it, got a 4.5-inch blade, and the whole knife is about 9 inches long, almost 10 inches long. Um, it's made of high carbon stainless steel, and yeah, it's not like a super high end steel, super high end anything, but uh, like a lot of Cutco stuff and K-bar stuff, once you actually get it in hand, then especially in the case of this one, after you get to know it, after you use it a little bit, then you realize that you got a pretty decent deal. It's still overpriced. Yes, it's still overpriced, but it's not as bad as one might have imagined. So let's take a deep dive on the Cutco K-Bar Outdoorsman. Now, this cord on the sheath that did not come with that. I attached it, and I just attached this to show you guys that this sheath alone is pretty cool. It's a standard Secure X sheath, Kydex construction, with somewhere for your uh, belt, and there's a you can carry it on your belt like down, hanging down the side like that, um, and it has a Velcro closure in front in case if you want to have your belt through it horizontally. You can also carry it that way as well. It's a button snap closure, so you got to open that snap to pull the knife out, and along the side of the sheath, the holes drill into the sheath, so you can do what I do, put a cord through that and hang it around your neck when you're out camping or hiking and stuff like that. Now this knife comes with two different styles of scales for the handle, so you can get the black one or the green one. Black one or green one, okay? Or if you are really cool like me, then you will have both the black and the green, one on each side. Okay, Two-Face has always been my favorite villain in Batman. Well, one of my favorite villains in Batman. So someone I can actually personally identify with. So this is my statement to it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can have both green and black. Okay, that's pretty cool. Totally a Johnny Tiger flair. Now, not much more I can say about the sheath. It's nice. No, I will say this much. When you are putting this into the sheath, it does take a bit of shoving. Okay, don't be scared to shove it in as long as you have the orientation the right way. But yeah, it does take a bit of pushing for this to actually, sorry, I'm bumping the camera, for this to snap in. Okay, this makes me a little bit nervous. I will say that because I have knives like these go right through the sheath before when you shove really hard. So just to err on the side of caution, when you are shoving this in, grab the sheath by the spine, by the back side. Okay, don't put your hand near the tip and jam it in. Okay, I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. Okay, you don't want this, especially a knife this sharp, to go right through. Okay, so make sure you know where your hand is gripping the sheath. Grab it on the spine, so if this does go through, it's not going to cut you, right? That's one little criticism I have on this sheath, is how hard you have to shove for this to go in. To pull it out, however, it's pretty simple, just a one-handed affair. Okay, so let's say you have this hanging on your belt. You can undo the button snap with one hand, and out come the knife. Single-edged, very chunky. This is a chunky knife with a kind of a drop point configuration. Like most Cutco stuff, come out razor sharp. This is a nice, thick, sharp blade with enough handle for you to choke it up. So if you want to do fine control, you can grip it like this with your index finger on the spine and your thumb and your middle finger pinching the side of the knife and your ring finger anchored on this little guard. I guess you can call that a guard. And this allow you to do some fine dicing and slicing without losing control of the knife. Or, of course, you can hold the knife the regular way, just grip it by the handle, or you can choke it up and grab the tail end of the handle and give yourself that little bit of extra reach as well. Okay, so this allow you to do several configurations, several holds, even in commando hold, in ice pick hold. This have a nice uh, flat surface for you to put your thumb on the back. However, I will caution you that the back end of the blade, this part near the, get closer to the camera, closer, like right close here to the, what do I say, is kind of a guard. This is sharp. Okay, so when you are flipping this around, changing grip, make sure this doesn't go like this. Make sure this knife doesn't go into your hand. Okay, the blade doesn't get your hand, because if you switch fast, sometimes that will happen with a knife like this. Okay, so uh, it is what it is. It's designed more as a utility work knife, not really for tricks knife or a fighting knife or anything like that. Although uh, I think that, if you know what you're doing, having this in your hand in a self-defense scenario would be pretty scary, right? Um, it is a nice chunkster of a knife. It's very chunky. It's actually, when I hold this in hand, it reminds me a little bit of the cold steel GI Tonto. Uh, Another one that's also a heavy, chunky knife like this. When you drop it on the table, you make a nice, solid thump. Yeah, it's always a bit of a struggle to get into the sheath. Um, Now I'm going to change the camera angle and we can do a quick cutting demonstration. Alright, I hope this angle is okay. I'm a little bit rusty with setting up camera angles and stuff like that. So I hope you guys can see me. I have this nice outdoorsman hanging by the lanyard in front of me. It's just basically hanging on my vest, and this is how I usually would carry something like this when I'm hiking or camping. or if I know that I'm going to be needing something like this, like you can even tuck it under your shirt, right? It's kind of heavy, but it's not too out of place. Like if you have a nice thick winter coat or windbreaker or a trench coat or something like this, it actually would tuck in okay, right? So um, this is going to be one of the most fun cutting tests that I do because I love doing cutting tests with a Cutco product. Why? Because they have the forever warranty. Now, for those of you who don't know, forever warranty basically means that if you buy a Cutco knife and you manage to break it somehow, they give you a free one. Okay, they give you a replace it for free. So you don't ever have to worry about breaking your Cutco knife. If you break it, they give you a new one. So this is great. A lot of my other knives, like K-bar, cold steel, CRKT, I am always a little bit leery when I'm doing cutting tests because I don't want to damage the blade somehow, and I would be out $100 or something. With a Cutco, I never have to worry about that. Okay, so let's start with something simple like plastic, something plasticky like this. Even this, for a lot of knives, this can be a bit challenging, right? Now, I'll first say this: this is not totally a fair cutting test because this is a brand new knife. Okay, so it's not the same when you have the knife that you've been carrying around for 2 or 3 years and been put through all kind of stuff. This is brand new, sharpened by the factory, so uh, keep that in mind, right? Wow, and look at how easily this slides through that plastic, right? This is just like barely any effort, right? A bit of resistance on this one. Always keep in mind when you're cutting, if you meet a lot of resistance, don't force it. Okay? Find a new angle and work at it. No matter what kind of knife you're using, if you have to force it, then you run the risk of something bad happening to your hand. Okay? So see how I just changed the angle of the cut and slice from the side. It wouldn't go through the middle easily, so I just go in from the side like this. Cut that plastic very easily once you find the right entry. Now, how about this plastic cord? Most of you that have worked with something like this know this is a bitch to cut. If you don't have a sharp knife, usually you need like a uh, exacto knife, a box cutter, something like that to cut something like this. But this is really tough material. I don't even like most of my pocket knife. I wouldn't test them on this because it's just not fair. Most knife would struggle with something like this, right? With a Cutco Kabar Outdoorsman, wow, that is so easy. It's almost scary. All right, let's look at that again. Just cutting this very tough cord down to tiny, tiny pieces without much struggle whatsoever with this knife. Yeah, crazy how sharp this is. What about something like this, like a pair of chopsticks? Like this is wood, okay? You try to cut this with a pocket knife or stuff like that, it wouldn't go very good. And now it's meeting a little bit of resistance with the chopsticks. However, when you start to use it as a hatchet, then we can see that it definitely uh, biting into the chopsticks, the side here, no problem, right? So this is one thing that's great about the outdoorsman. It's made to be a work knife, so when you can slice it or cut it the regular way, then you just start using it like a cleaver or a small hatchet, and it works perfectly for that. I'm getting like wood chips over my workstation. I'm going to stop that now and going to have a bit of a cleanup job to do. So, in closing, um, to answer our usual questions, is this a good utility knife? Hell yeah. Like, this is one of those knives where I say, hell yeah, it's a good utility knife. Why? It's big enough and heavy enough for you to get most things done. It can double as a cleaver, it can double as a small hatchet, it can probably double as a pry bar. And with a forever warranty, you don't have to worry about breaking it. If you break it, you get a new one. Okay? So that alone is big on the utility knife. Because a lot of time utility knife is a knife that you are probably going to break by trying to use it as a screwdriver, by trying to use it to break window or to pry something loose. With something like this, you don't have to worry about that. If you break it, you get a new one. Okay, so that is one of the biggest advantage this has as a utility knife. It feels good in hand. It has a secure, nice, secure sheath, and it has enough blade on it for you to do a lot of stuff. So, great utility knife. Is it a good survival knife? Well, again, it's called the outdoorsman, so I would say yes, it's a pretty decent survival knife. The sheath gives you a lot of carrying option. The knife itself is simplistic and easy to extract one-handed. You can use it for fine work. You can use it for uh, longer reach. You can use it for shorter reach. Um, you can use it for a lot of campsite related chores and stuff like that. And it has a linear hole in the handle, so you can even put a rope in there to secure to your wrist. Okay, so that is pretty decent. Um, I mean, I imagine you can probably even use it to hammer something. But for that purpose, I think you're better off with something like the original K-bar that actually have a butt cap that double as a hammer. For this one, eh, it's not so good. Um, but yeah, I think as a survival knife, it's not the best I've ever handled, but it's definitely ranking up there as some of the best. Is it a good fighting knife? Well, I mean, look at this. Would you really want to fight someone who got this? Like, it's got the intimidation factor for being a chunky, very thick-looking knife. Now, with that said, it lacks a certain grace and precision that most fighting knives need. For example, this handle would become very, very slippery when your hand get wet, and this back end of the blade will probably hurt the shit out of yourself if you are struggling with a knife and there's no real protection for your finger there. Not to mention, like I said, if you need to switch grip, there's a chance of this cutting into your hand if you're not careful, right? So it's not meant for a self-defense knife. It's not meant for a fighting knife. If you want a fighting knife, go with the Cutco Kabar Explorer. But the Outdoorsman is not so much, not so much. But uh, I would say if that's what you have on you when someone attacks you or something attacks you, it's a heck of a lot better than nothing. Uh, as long as you know what you're doing, but it wouldn't be my first choice for EDC self-defense knife. No, this would definitely be my first choice for utility knife, but not for self-defense. Thank you for checking out this cool new anniversary gift with me. I hope you guys had fun. And don't forget, when you're playing with sharp, pointy objects, be aware of pets and children. Don't hurt anyone and don't hurt yourself.